Hello there, good evening. Welcome to the Saturday match on this, the last day of the league season. Now, we're going to concentrate on that fascinating race for promotion in Division 2, with Leicester and Fulham chasing the one remaining place. It should have been decision day, but tonight confusion reigns instead. It's turning into one of the most amazing promotion sagas ever, and we have the whole story in pictures. Now, this was the situation before today's games. Leicester and Fulham both on 69 points, but Leicester with a better goal difference. So all Leicester had to do was to beat Burnley to make sure. Fulham, they were at Derby, and all they could do was try to get the points and hope that Leicester didn't. But let's start, though, with Derby versus Fulham. And just to add to the excitement, Derby needed points as well to make sure that they didn't go down. The pictures are from Central Television. The commentator is Brian Moore.
Quite a gamble for the Derby manager, Peter Taylor. Three key players all pushed back into action for this vital match after recent injuries. Archie Gemmill, he's got a problem behind the knee. Kenny Burns, a hamstring. Paul Hooks, a stomach muscle injury. And the boost, though, that they probably need after two successive defeats have put Derby County firmly back in trouble at the bottom. Meanwhile, the Fulham side that goes looking for that victory today is the one that beat Carlisle last week. The good news for manager Malcolm MacDonald is that Gordon Davis, who picked up a slight injury in that game, is reported fit. But for all their good intentions, they know that the job is not entirely in their own hands anymore. And taking his place at the baseball ground, the great Jackie Stamps, now sadly blind, but a great hero of Derby County and a member of their cup-winning side of 1946. And it's unthinkable, really, a few weeks ago to believe that so much could be resting on today's game, with Fulham at one point this season 12 points clear of the fourth club in the promotion race. And Derby County on a real roller coaster season were once 9 points away, adrift at the bottom, and then 15 games without a defeat. And then defeat in their last two has suddenly put them right back into trouble again. Derby needing a point, and Fulham wondering what's going to be happening in the game between Leicester City and Burnley. A lot helping it on. Here's Gemmill. And a good ball by Archie Gemmill to Paul Ensign. And allowed to go a long way. Sadly for Derby, their number 8, Bobby Davison, couldn't quite gather it up. And it'll be a goal kick. Good jump there by Coney, and Gordon Davis going through. Was he shoved? The referee had a good hard look at it, and for a moment Derby were in terrible trouble, and the shove came from Foster, but it wasn't an unfair one. It away for Fulham. It's Derby's throw. Paul Empson again with it to Kenny Burns. Back to Empson again. On the transfer list, Paul Ensign. Oh, and no! Miraculously it stayed out. Rolly's header, and it was a moment of great good fortune for Fulham, because it could so easily have hit Jerry Clayton and bounced into the back of the net. What about this? Empson's cross, which is a perfect one. Rolly's header. And off the crossbar, down onto the goalkeeper. How easily that could have gone over the line. And Clayton grabs it before it could. Hopkins. Oh, and he kicked out as he went to Hooks. I think it was an accident, but the pain must have been pretty acute. And the referee feels obliged to have a word with Jeff Hopkins. This is the moment. That's what the talking is about. And the young Welshman getting quite a talking to from Ray Chadwick. And the Derby management of Roy McFarland on the right, and Peter Taylor just hoping that Paul Hooks can get himself up on his feet and back into the action. Played in for Wilson, and now for Davis. And Empson getting it away. That wasn't very good, though. Straight to Gale. And now Robert Wilson. Oh, and that's an interesting ball there. And a header that was just kept out from Coney. And Davis, I think, quite properly is claiming that he was pushed. And Peter Taylor, needless to say, was worried by that. You have to question whether it was a push on Gordon Davis. And you have to say it was a very good header coming in at the far post from Dean Coney. Very good clearance that time by Peyton, finding Empson, who's got a bit of pace about him. Hopkins is after him, and he's got it in, and just over the top. Hopkins on the chase, but Empson in pole position. This cross wasn't maybe what quite the forward runners wanted. Well, it's half-time here at the baseball ground. And so far, Derby County are on course for the point they want. Fulham at the moment don't know what they want. But of course, they'll be going for a win. At the moment, though, as the players come off at half-time, after a very tense first half, the score here is Derby County 0, Fulham. Empson taking on Hopkins again, and Hopkins had the pace that time. He goes, oh my word, it was a real swipe at Hopkins there by Hooks. Can't get away with that. Certainly there was a nasty challenge by Hopkins in the first half, and the revenge motive came in there. But the referee is booking Hooks, and look at that. I mean, for heaven's sake, what's the game about? And Paul Hooks, if anything, lucky to stay on, and then the little tangle with Kenny Burns after that. Wilson. Brereton had one little snap at him. He also had a snap at him from Roger Brown. And now Brolly with the shot. And Locke happy to get that one away. Played there for Brolly. And thwacked it against the post and away. Moment. In there towards Roger Brown. Gale is in there too. Brown tries an overhead. Davis, but he was offside. Academic, because the man missed in any case. There's Davison. Wilson's here supporting. The end result didn't cause Dale too many problems, but now Gemmell finds Brolly. Barton crossed in once more, missed by Wilson. Can Empson keep it in? Just. So it may not be over yet. Brolly with a header. And hit into the roof of the net. Superbly there by Davison. Brolly's header in, and a belting volley into the roof of the net. The fans are on the pitch. The dogs are on the pitch to get them off. Fulham's promotion hopes seem to be shattered, and Derby look as though they're going to survive in the second division. And staying up, staying up, staying up is the cry from the baseball crowd. And the police are really here in force now. You don't often see that on a second division football ground, making sure there's not another pitch invasion by these excited Derby County fans. With Roger Brown to the goalkeeper, and there are quite a few fans already on the pitch, and the referee surely isn't going to allow that. All around Steve Cherry's goal, as Hopkins comes forward, now with Gale. Remarkable scenes behind that goal as Davis goes in, and there's the header save. Look at that. They're actually on the pitch. The whistle, in fact, the whistle had gone and the flag was up for an offside. Gives you an idea of the depth of feeling for football in this great old footballing town. Its survival in the second division can generate as much excitement as this has today. Coming to the last minute or so of the game, Houghton played in for Gale. For Houghton again. Oh, Did Cherry get a touch? Yes, he did, because the corner's indicated. It was a very good strike indeed by Houghton, and just tipped away there by Cherry, you could see it. But getting the corner taken might be a little more difficult. In its way, in its very small way, we're back in Wembley in 1923 when the crowd were on the touchline and the cup final was being played then between West Ham and Bolton. Today it's the baseball ground. It's Fulham against Derby County, and Gale trying manfully to get a shot in, but Derby on the break again, and it's Butcher who's made a tremendous break and then couldn't quite gather up the ball, and they get it back to Jerry Payton. They're well on the pitch now, all the way around the fans. Empson. And it's Brooks now for Derby County. Behind for the goal kick. Played nearly 2 minutes of injury time, and he's looked at both linesmen. The thumbs are up. Malcolm McDonald knows it's the second division next season. I don't think he's all that happy with this crowd. I've never seen, he was saying, anything like this. Can't believe it. And I honestly feel that it can't be right. The last minutes might be a formality, but it can't be easy for the players out there. Locke. Lewington. Played on again towards Wilson. The crowd gets back, or at least tries to get back partially behind the lines. Wilson once again. And it was actually tackled by somebody in the crowd. The linesman's flagging. Well, that was always likely to happen. And, I mean, it's a crazy situation now. I'm not at all sure that effort shouldn't have been made to get the crowd behind those barriers the moment they started to appear. Once they were allowed to come through, they were followed by others. And now, of course, it's a situation that's totally out of hand. There's no way you're going to get them back behind the barriers. And they're right around the goal, for example. It's all very well for the policeman to start waving them back. I don't think he's got a chance. And he's back in the crowd again. And they're all around the goal where Steve Cherry is in that Derby goal. It's a crazy situation. Lewington now with the throw. Now Gale. Crossed in once more. Brown heading it on. Wilson's there too, looking to get a volley in, but couldn't manage it. They still can't get it away. Now they can. Well, the loudspeaker is imploring them to get behind, but there really is whistling in the dark. But the final whistle, and Derby have survived. Whether they survive this invasion might be another thing. Fulham know that they have to play in the second division again next season. Their promotion run is over. They are beaten by Davison's goal, and Derby know that they have survived the threat of a drop into the third division, and the celebrations start now at the baseball ground. So, amazing scenes. You would have thought they'd won the second division championship rather than the other way around, just survived at the other end of the table. But that's what it means to this grand old footballing town of Derby. Mike Brolly, who'd had a tremendous game, I thought, for Derby today, almost lost his shorts there for a moment, but there are smiles everywhere for Derby and their fans today. So the final score is Derby 1, Fulham 0.
Yes, it's lovely when you're winning, but within minutes the champagne in the Leicester dressing room had gone flat, because from Derby came news that the game there hadn't been properly completed. Fulham were appealing, so maybe Leicester still weren't definitely promoted after all. Well, we saw earlier the quite incredible scenes as the crowd encroached onto the baseball ground pitch. Let's now look again at the end of the match. The Fulham goalkeeper, Jerry Payton, with the ball, and as he kicks it downfield, the referee blows his whistle. Everyone thought it was full time, but apparently it was for offside. There was still 1 minute and 18 seconds on the clock, but clearly the referee had no chance at all of restarting. Fulham, remember, had needed a victory to give them promotion. And what happened to them at Derby had manager Malcolm McDonald fuming. Brian Moore spoke to him.
Malcolm, what is the latest situation? Will there be a replay or won't there be a replay?
Well, Mike Watterson, I understand the Derby chairman has intimated that they will be prepared to have a replay. The game hasn't gone the full 90 minutes, and also there was 7 minutes of intimidation by the crowd were actually on the pitch in a number of areas, and so now really it is a question of what the Football League decide on when they see the referee's report. But the referee has stated that that the 90 minutes wasn't completed. And that also that there were a number of incidents after the game with players they were assaulted by the crowd that ran onto the pitch.
What do you mean by intimidated over those last 6 or 7 minutes?
Well, there was an incident during the last few minutes. I don't quite remember what time it was, Brian, but Robert Wilson was running down the touchline with a ball, and the supporters run on and blatantly kicked him in the thigh. And you can't play football under those circumstances.
There was a suggestion that the referee might get the players to come back out again and play again, but that didn't appeal to you, obviously.
Well, we couldn't have fielded 11 players because we had a player, Jeff Hopkins, who had been so badly set upon. His shirt had been totally ripped off his back, and he had been punched in the air and in a number of other places. And the lad was in total shock. He had been surrounded by thousands of people and could see no avenue of escape. Finally, made it to the dressing room and was absolutely frozen stiff in shock.
Really? So, I mean, you don't regard, then, that your promotion dream is shattered yet? I mean, you feel that you should get another chance?
I feel that we should have this game replayed because it hasn't gone the full course of 90 minutes. And plus, before the crowd actually came onto the pitch to cover the pitch entirely, there were a number of intimidatory incidents that happened that doesn't make for a conducive footballing atmosphere.
Malcolm McDonald with some very worrying comments. Fulham will be asking for a replay, and League Secretary Graham Kelly confirmed tonight that the matter will be considered by a special management committee meeting early next week. He could make no further comment until he'd seen reports from everyone involved. Well, Derby presumably will be happy to replay, as they're safe from relegation anyway. And you can see Fulham's argument. But then just imagine Leicester's view. Could Fulham really have scored the 2 goals they needed in that missing 1 minute and 18 seconds? It's a very interesting one to watch that, but it really is a tragedy for football, I think, when a key issue is clouded by crowd trouble. The game itself is always going to be the loser.